March 7, 1945, Remagen, Germany. The Rhine River ran cold and fast beneath a low gray sky, swollen with winter runoff and edged by steep basalt cliffs. For Allied planners, the Rhine was supposed to be crossed weeks later after massive preparation. Instead, on this afternoon, the war's final barrier would be forced by chance and held by fewer than 60 American soldiers. Shortly after 1 p.m., elements of the U.S. 9th Armored Division reached the outskirts of Remagen. The town lay battered by air raids, streets choked with rubble, and smoke drifting from shattered buildings. Ahead stood the Ludendorff Bridge, a massive steel truss structure built during the First World War, stretching 1,060 feet across the Rhine. American intelligence believed it would already be destroyed. It was not. German engineers had wired the bridge with explosives, but shortages damaged detonators, and rushed work left the charges incomplete. When American armor appeared, the German commander hesitated, waiting for refugees and retreating troops still crossing. That delay would prove fatal. At 3:20 p.m., a thunderous explosion ripped through the bridge. Smoke and debris shot skyward, but when it cleared, the bridge was still standing, damaged, sagging, but intact. Second Lieutenant Karl Timmermann, commanding a small infantry platoon of the 27th Armored Infantry Battalion, did not wait for orders. With fewer than 60 men, riflemen, engineers, and machine gunners, he led the rush. Under fire from German machine guns positioned in the bridge towers, the Americans sprinted onto the span. The steel deck shook under their boots. The Rhine churned 80 feet below. German defenders fired down from stone towers armed with 20mm flak guns and small arms. Mortar rounds fell short or splashed into the river. Timmermann's men advanced in short bursts, hugging the steel girders for cover. Engineers crawled forward, cutting live demolition wires by hand, often inches from unexploded charges. By 4 p.m., the first Americans reached the eastern bank. They had crossed the Rhine, the first Allied soldiers to do so since 1940. But crossing was only the beginning. What followed was a desperate defense. German high command, stunned by the loss of the bridge, ordered it retaken at any cost. Throughout the night and into the next day, approximately 1,200 German troops, infantry, Volkssturm units, and elements of nearby formations launched repeated counterattacks against the narrow American bridgehead. The terrain favored the defenders only barely. The Americans occupied a shallow slope rising from the river, exposed to artillery fire from surrounding hills. They dug shallow foxholes in frozen ground, reinforced with rubble from destroyed buildings. Ammunition was limited. Some men carried fewer than 100 rounds. German artillery pounded the bridge, sending steel fragments screaming through the air. Luftwaffe aircraft attacked in waves, dropping bombs and firing rockets. One jet-powered Me-262 made a low pass, its cannons flashing. Each time, the bridge held, and so did the men. American machine gunners positioned Browning .30 and .50 caliber guns to cover the approaches. Riflemen fired deliberately, conserving ammunition. Medics worked in the open, dragging wounded men back toward the riverbank. Engineers continued to strengthen the span even as shells landed nearby. By March 8th, reinforcements finally began crossing in strength. Tanks clanked onto the bridge. Anti-aircraft guns were emplaced. The fragile foothold became a solid bridgehead. 10 days later, the Ludendorff Bridge would collapse from accumulated damage, but by then, more than 25,000 American troops and thousands of vehicles had crossed the Rhine. The stand by those first 60 men changed the tempo of the war in the West. German defensive plans unraveled. The Rhine barrier was broken weeks ahead of schedule, accelerating the Allied advance into the heart of Germany. Sources used: U.S. Army Center of Military History, The Rhine Crossings; Stephen E. Ambrose, Citizen Soldiers; David Stafford, Endgame 1945. After Action Reports, U.S. 9th Armored Division. Outcome and Legacy. The capture and defense of the Ludendorff Bridge at Remagen marked the first successful Allied crossing of the Rhine in World War II. It shortened the war in Europe and demonstrated how initiative at the smallest unit level could alter grand strategy. Today, the ruined bridge towers still stand along the riverbanks, a reminder of the men who crossed under fire, held against impossible odds, and helped bring the war in Europe to its end.